Hey everyone, so I just wanted to make a small commentary response on the video that happened last week with Tristan where he showed Aikido versus takedowns. So to begin with, trust me, I understand why you weren't happy with the video. I mean, I wasn't happy, especially in the end about it too. It's not a reflection of what I'm working at. I want to make sure that it's not a direction that we are working on as a channel. So don't be afraid, be calm, don't panic. The project itself, Aikido Modernized Laboratory, it is a chance where I gave to other people who are working on the subject of modernizing Aikido for a while now to just present their stuff without questioning it too much so that you guys could see that I'm not the only one doing that and that maybe you could get some good ideas from others besides the stuff that I do. Francisco and Nathaniel in the first two episodes did a great job. They showed some great materials. I think everybody benefited from them. And then when Tristan sent me his video, I had some doubts about it. I wasn't sure, but at the same time, I had a lot of respect to him, and I do have a lot of respect to him. He definitely knows a lot about martial arts. And I thought, well, he knows what he's doing. Let's just put it out there and see how people will respond. And if something is bad, he'll just learn his lesson. And that's what happened, hardcore. It was interesting to watch how it happened. But anyway, in the end, he definitely learned his lesson. He received the feedback. And while it was the issue was a lot with his ability to present exactly what he wanted to point out, to show, and how he did it, he also admitted that it wasn't so great. But actually, that's why right after I'm going to finish talking, then Tristan will jump in and he will explain what happened by himself, so you could reconnect with him and ask some questions and talk about it. But in the end, failure is such an important part of life. As we try to improve something, as we try to change something, we have to allow ourselves to fail. We have to expose ourselves to show what we're working on. Because if we think we're perfect on ourselves and we don't show it to others and we don't receive feedback, there's no change, there's no improvement. And so I'm glad Tristan filmed that video. He showed it to the public. He got a lot of backlash, a lot of feedback, and it's just an experience to grow from. And it was also an experience for me to see, okay, that's not necessarily the direction I want to go to, because I realized how much truth there are in some of the words that you said in the comments. So in the end, it's a very positive experience that happened. And just before I let you go to Tristan to hear his own thoughts, I'll just give you a quote from Steve Jobs. "Sometimes when you innovate, you make mistakes. It is best to admit them quickly and get on with improving your other innovations." And that's how I feel. So let's learn from this, let's improve, and let's move on. So without further ado, I give you Tristan.
I'm Tristan, and I posted up the video regarding starting to deal with takedowns. And I wanted to post up this aftermath video, kind of give you some of my thoughts and impressions of what I've learned from this experience. First, let me say that I really respect Rokas for putting himself and his learning process out to the open. I saw him post his initial Aikido versus MMA video, and he really took a lot of flack for that one, but he showed his vulnerability and that he was willing to grow, and I very much respect that. So let's get into it. Firstly, I'd like to thank everybody for the comments that they put on the video. I especially like the thoughtful and constructive criticisms and even support for people that saw what I was trying to do, although admittedly I did it in a poor way. And that's the first thing I would like to say, is that the presentation that I tried was a poor performance. And I didn't present the material in a way that was suiting, I think, what people were expecting. And there's a number of reasons for that, and I want to kind of go through those faults, or what I view as being those faults. Firstly, I decided not to include instruction or explanation of what I was presenting. I felt that it would be an interesting experiment to see if, without the distraction of words and explanation, if people could see what it is I was intending. That intention was to show the fundamental of using slight off the line movement and using the forearms like a wrestler would use to deal with somebody coming in deep to them. And I really wanted to highlight that, and some people caught it. Some people could see that, and other people focused on a few other things, and I want to touch on those too. The big one, of course, was the quality of the attacks that were coming in, and that's absolutely fair criticism. If there was anything, I certainly need to own up to that, is the attacks that we were doing with the group that I was working with. This was new to us. We were just starting to learn about takedowns and how to deal with them. And so I could have decided to wait until we had honed all of these things out in order to present them. But the spirit of Rokas's his project really is not waiting until everything is a finished product to roll out, but it's here's what we're working on right now, and what do you think? And that was the intention that I had there. I certainly make no claim that Aikido is superior to wrestling or superior to BJJ or anything like that. In fact, I have a high regard and respect for all of those arts. These people have got great stuff, and in my opinion, Aikido needs to include those things, and that's where my intention is to branch out and include them. I want to make them part of my martial art without having to abandon Aikido. I think that's a philosophical point. Maybe we could talk about it more, but I want to get on with some of the mistakes, more of the mistakes that were made, I think, with this video. Choosing not to explain or frame what I was showing was a poor choice, and it led to a great deal of misunderstanding. I think a lot of the viewers, as I read through the comments, especially the negative ones and the really negative ones, tended to be of the expectation that what was shown was a pressure test of this type of a defense for this attack, and the video was not designed in that way. It's perfectly valid to say, well, if you wanted to pressure test it, should have gotten a wrestler in to be your attacker. I absolutely agree if that was the intention. The second one is I felt that now in retrospect, the focus of the video was incorrect for the audience. And I'll admit that I did not have the intention of going after and providing entertainment, which is in the form of, let's see Aikido guy, see if he can beat a wrestler or beat a wrestler's takedown. Not my intention. My interest is more on starting the path of bringing some of these other things into the Aikido sphere, and to do it in an experimental way that Rokas is taking on. I applaud him for being as brave as he is, for putting out the material that he has, sharing what his thoughts are and what his impressions are, and even weathering quite a bit of criticism. And while I think that a lot of the criticism that's on the video that I posted up came from outside the Aikido world, I would also acknowledge that Rokas, a lot of the criticism he weathered came from within it, of people telling him from within Aikido's perfect. It doesn't need any improvement. It doesn't need to address any of these things. Well, I disagree with that criticism. And in order to fix it, we need to start taking steps towards integrating and bringing in the valuable tools and lessons that these other arts have to offer. I would like to bridge that gap. And I think that's a positive way forward for the art. And the fact that very senior people within the Aikido community, some of them are hesitantly cautious about the idea of cross-training and bringing in other tools, and others are adamantly against it. Me personally, I think that it's the best thing that we could do, and that it's going to be a rough adjustment initially, especially as you get used to it, like learning any new art or techniques are going to be. We only really lose, and I count we as individuals, as students, or we as the art, will lose when we refuse to take on the endeavor. We refuse to expand ourselves, we refuse to expand our art, and we become more and more insular and exclusionary to everything else that's going on. So my attempt here with this video was to be an initial example of what a small group might do to start learning to practice and get used to this basic concept of dealing with an onrushing attack or a takedown. In wrapping up, I'd like to say that it's nice to see that there's reaching out from different aspects and different parts of the martial arts world that are starting to come together a bit here. Kind of like a big room where we're all entering into a discussion. As we move forward, useful discussions are going to take on an intelligent and helpful nature. coming in with a adversarial type of an approach is not going to create the same positive results as it could be. Well, those are my thoughts on this, at least the primary thoughts of how the video went and what the aftermath was. Get back on the mat and keep advancing, keep learning, keep making things better. So hope you enjoyed the video. Look forward to seeing more of your comments and what you thought about it. Take care.